Hi, my name is Sarah, and I'm from Indie Games, and we are back once more playing Seduce Me! We're getting right back into it. I let out a sigh before looking at the clock. It was getting close to midnight, meaning that the party was going to end soon. I lowered my gaze out the window and saw a limo pull up. Huh? Whose limo is that?
Oh, that must be Lewis's car.
I'll go get him. Stay with your father so you can escort your guests out together.
Yes, Mom. My mother left my dad and me to slowly escort the guests out. My dad held his simple smile as he thanked each person for coming. I did the same. Andrew quickly passed the doors before I could speak. Eventually, only Suzu, Naomi, my parents, and the incubi were left. My dad suddenly walked over and placed a hand on my shoulder with a smile. I stared up at him, a wave of confusion washing over my face. What?
You did good tonight. I'm proud.
Oh, thank you, Dad.
Keep it up and you'll be a good CEO.
Oh, right.
All right, your mother and I have to leave. I'm sure Naomi and Suzu need to leave as well. Just because it's Saturday doesn't mean you should stay up all night.
Oh, right.
Thanks for having us. It was a great party. We'll come visit tomorrow or something. All right?
Right, see ya.
Good night, sweetie. Come visit us soon.
Will do. All four of my remaining guests left the building, all but my dad waving back to me. With the last of the guests gone, I sighed and sat on the staircase, exhausted. Ugh, that was tiring.
It's not like you had to do any work, though.
Give her a break, man. She was getting interrogated left and right.
She handled herself the best she could.
As expected, Princess.
Since you're exhausted, why not head to bed? We can clean up.
Ugh.
Hush, Sam.
Are you guys sure?
Positive. It shouldn't take long.
Ho ho ho! It didn't take long to find you little shits after all.
I gotta say this, I really like whoever did Malix's voice acting. I felt a hot shudder run down my spine. The voice from my dreams echoed through the air into my ears. I looked around, panicked, alongside the incubi. James placed a hand on my shoulder, trying to remain calm.
Don't worry. No one will hurt you.
Are you sure? Are you really sure?
All of us shot our heads toward the doors, finally pinning down the direction of the voice. The doors quickly swung open, revealing a sight I would never expected to see. Skin red as blood, eyes black and gold piercing into mine, roughened up clothes and a pistol in his hand, I saw a monster. I covered my mouth to not scream at the sight. Dried blood covered the bandana around his neck as he smirked at me and the boys around me. Beside the red-skinned man was a similar-looking woman in matching thug-like clothes.
Aw, what's the matter, boys? You really didn't think I wouldn't find you, did you?
I hoped you would, you piece of...
All of a sudden, the man raised his gun at Sam's face and instantly pulled the trigger. We all gasped in shock, instinctively expecting to see a bullet run through Sam's face, but...
What the fuck?
What?
What should have been a headshot ended with a loud but empty blank shot. The pistol echoed its empty shots as the man grew more and more pissed, pulling the trigger over and over in aggravation. Luckily for my ears, it became quieter after its first shot.
Why the fuck won't you work?
This place is protected.
What did you say, Shrimp?
This place has a seal, protecting it from hellborn magic.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
The man growled and threw his gun at Sam, who was able to dodge it in time. The pistol bounced off the ground a couple times before sliding farther away, hitting the wall on a final stop. As it stopped moving, the gun faded into black flame that disappeared into the air.
The previous owner had this place protected by magic, Malix.
Malix, that was his name. His existence resonated in my memory from the dream I had. However, I looked to Matthew in the same confusion as Malix did. This place is protected by magic?
It would seem that your grandfather had some sort of protective barrier around this house. From the looks of it, it only disables hellborn magic.
Malix's face grew to that of extreme anger, his fist tightening as if he was crushing a stress ball.
Then what's stopping me from dragging your asses out and shooting you then?
Out of pure instinct, I stepped forward and placed myself between Malix and the boys. With no power, Malix wasn't going to fight. I took that chance to stand up to him instead of being powerless like I was in the dream. Leave them alone! Malix stared wide-eyed at my words. I could feel the boys do the same from behind me. Malix then smirked and leaned in nose to nose with me.
And just who the fuck are you?
That's none of your concern.
You got a big mouth, nameless bitch. You best be careful who you speak to.
Duck! I ducked underneath Malix's... I got an achievement for that called Can't Catch Me! Malix's incoming hand. I stared at his hands and his back fame tattoo and surprised I took a couple steps back from Malix. Matthew and Damien stepped in front of me, guarding me from Malix with their arms.
A quick one. I'm liking you more and more.
Back off, Malix!
Don't start acting tough, you pathetic excuse of a demon. You need more protection than her.
Shut up!
Oh, did I make little Matthew cry? Why don't you just grow a pair?
Enough, Malix.
The woman, who had been standing in silence the whole time, planted a firm hand on Malix's shoulder. Malix looked back at her with a growl and a glare that could kill.
Since when did you get the guts to speak out of place?
We both know you've never controlled me. I want them dead just like you two. But now's not the time.
Fuck off! I know what I'm doing.
Do you? Even if you did fight them, there's 5 against 2. We never win.
Shut up!
Let's go, Malix! We're wasting our time!
The two growled at each other. If they could have used their magic, I could sense that fire would glow from underneath their teeth. Malix grunted and glared at the boys. He pointed at James, wanted so badly to use his fingers like a knife.
Just wait, pretty boys. We'll get you and fuck you up real good.
He's so edgy, I love it. Then Malix turned to me, moving his finger to point directly between my eyes.
And don't think you're safe. Step outside. I dare you.
No, but seriously, like, this voice actor had so much fun. I want to know who it is. With that, Malix and the woman walked out of the mansion. The doors closed behind them, leaving the boys and I alone once again. I felt my knees give out from under me, forcing the boys to quickly turn to catch me.
Whoa! Are you alright?
Yeah, why was he here?
He's been closely tracking us. Our blood trail from the forest must have led him here.
Should have stopped him and finished it here.
For once, Matthew, I agree with you.
I stood up and rubbed my arms, feeling the goosebumps Malix left behind on me. I couldn't stop myself from shivering in fear of his words. Malix, was he a demon?
That son of a bitch is not a demon. He's a devil.
A devil? There's a difference?
Yes, demons come from a different plane of existence called the abyssal planes. Devils, however, come from one of the 7 circles of a place humans know. It's hell. Despite us not being human, we are very different creatures.
We actually have brains, for one. Devils always like to cause trouble and try to kill or torture others for their own enjoyment. Demons, like us, know when to use our powers and when not to. We're not stupid.
Devils follow orders from higher-ups in their order, and their power only comes from their connection to hell. Demons all have free wills and don't rely on where they came from to use their powers.
This was all so confusing. Demons and devils and magic all existed and I happened to land in the middle of it. What do we do?
You're safe. You've been protected as well.
What?
What Damien's saying is that the magic that protects this place also protects you.
Your grandfather must have cast it when you last saw him or something of that nature. We can sense its aura around your body.
I couldn't believe my ears. It was the 3rd day of surprises and this one took the cake in being the most surprising. I felt my head spin once again. What did I get myself into?
Miss, please don't worry. We'll find a way to train ourselves and become stronger to finally finish this feud.
I'm gonna kick his ass right now!
Until then, we'll protect you as much as we can. If Malix comes back, we'll be here for you.
But what about going outside? Won't he?
Like we said, you have a protection spell on you. Even if Malix attacks you, he won't be able to use his magic on you. He'd be just like any other human you can fight back against.
Didn't you say you knew Taekwondo?
Well, yeah. I felt somewhat relieved that I was mostly safe from Malix. Still, I could not help but feel very nervous and apprehensive about the future. The boys were safe here to train and become stronger, but what if Malix did the same? Even more so, I was lost about how my grandfather knew about magic. I had to find out. At least I had time. I got an achievement called Green Apples. What? Hold on. I want to see what that achievement is. Unlock the first set of bloopers? Okay. Whoops. Well, that's fine. Save over here. Alright. I went to bed that night feeling nervous. Despite the words of the incubi, I felt like a target to something I'd never be able to explain or prove. Magic? Devils? Demons? How did all this even happen? Should I really meddle with the situation? They're only staying until after they defeat Malix. That's right. They said they'd only stay until after they defeated Malix. After that, my life could go back to normal. Temporary insanity, as Kay would say. Question was then, would I want them to leave? If my life went back to normal, then I'd have to care for the house all on my own. I'd get to focus on my life instead of being distracted by the boys. I'd have to. My life. Where was my life going anyway? I was under pressure from my parents, with only my friends and the boys to comfort me. Without the boys, I'd have no way to hide from my responsibilities. Enough. Let's just sleep and deal with tomorrow when it comes. Defeating my sense of thought, I forced myself to sleep, unsure of what tomorrow had planned for me. Hopefully, whatever the future had for me, I would be ready for it.
I promise to be with you forever. You're so important to me.
I swear I'll give my life to you.
Please, let me love you.
I'll be by your side, always.
I can't imagine living without you.
I want to be with you.
I love you.
I slowly opened my eyes, letting the voices of my dream echo in my head and force me awake. I rubbed my eyes before sitting up and looking at my clock. 7 a.m.? Why am I up so early? I fell back onto the bed and closed my eyes, trying to get back to sleep. However, something kept me awake. Why? It's too early to even be alive. I gave up and sat up, staring at the fireplace across from my bed. A sigh escaped from between my lips before I threw my legs over the side of the bed. What to do at 7 in the morning? Okay, so last time I explored the house. I kind of want to see which one of these runs me into Erik. We're not going to work on homework, that's boring. I'm going to make some coffee. I decided making coffee was my best bet in surviving the rest of the day. Why not? Haven't had coffee in forever. I got out of bed and made my way to the kitchen, unconcerned that I was in pajama pants and a tank top. I rummaged through the cabinets for a coffee machine and any makings for coffee. Surely my grandfather had some. A French press? Well, it's better than nothing. I don't know what that is. As I began to make my coffee, I checked my email and text on my phone. No new important emails, no text messages. I sighed. I quickly made my coffee just how I liked it and sat on the counter. But then I began to wonder. Would this happen every day? I let the question linger in my mind. For a whole morning I did not think once about the boys or Malix. Everything was peaceful. Everything was average, nothing magical or dangerous or unusual. I simply drank my coffee as I let the thought marinate in the back of my mind. I returned to bed, feeling the weight of the morning drag me under my covers to try sleeping again. I had energy, but I wanted more sleep. It was Sunday and nothing was happening today. Come on, eyes, back to sleep. I shut my eyes and tried to slow my breathing. I looked at my phone to check the time once again. It was noon, yet it felt like I had slept for much longer. Why is time going so slowly? I sighed, got changed into normal clothes, and went out into the main hall and sat on the stairs. Sundays were very boring. So, I'm gonna go back really quick because I think this gets me a spell. I decided it was a good idea to wander around the house. I never really explored it much as a child, so there were bound to be new surprises. Well, come on, feet, let's go on an adventure. Because I think we find the book. And I don't know if that's necessary, but I want to get it just in case. I stood and exited my room, hoping that the boys were still asleep. I began to wander the halls at the end of the house, opening each door to find room each door led to. Yeah, here we go. Quickly I found an old office. A desk and chair set by the far side as a large bookshelf of documents and memorabilia donned its nooks and crannies. There were a couple pictures of me growing up peeking from the shelf as I walked further into the room. I don't believe I've been in here before. I tried to recall memories of ever seeing this room, coming up with nothing as a result. This room was new to me. Did I want to disturb the furniture? I'm curious. I gently opened the shelves and any drawers I saw in the room. In a couple of them were books and even sewing kits. I assumed they were used for my grandfather's toys, so I left them alone. One drawer, however, was locked, no matter how many times I pulled. Grr, come on, open! Nothing. It would not budge. The drawer beside it, though, did, revealing a laptop. Why is there a laptop in a drawer? I lifted it from the drawer and carried it over to the desk and chair, opening it. It was a high-tech laptop with a retina scanner as a pass lock. I was not sure whether to try and unlock it or not. Yep. What was that? I decided to try. I turned on the computer and leaned my face near the retina scanner, lining the camera up with my eye. To my surprise, I heard a ping come from the computer before the screen opened to a desktop. Huh, look at that. On the desktop were documents and folders labeled with different aspects of the Anderson Company. Taxes, prospects, bylaws, products, the list went on and on. If I really did want to become CEO of the Anderson Toys Company, I had everything about it at my fingertips. Dad would sure be impressed. One icon, however, stood out from the rest. Virago? I double-clicked the icon, but no window came up. Instead, I heard a large click come from the drawer that was locked. What the? I slowly left my seat and walked over to the drawer, attempting to open it again. It slid open smoothly in the direction of my pulling hand, revealing 2 books. One was a plain black journal with a tie to keep it closed. The other was bound in leather with cryptic symbols all over the cover. I took out the journal and skimmed through it, seeing my grandfather's notes. They were all detailed explanations and opinions on his findings on demon magic. He really did know about magic. I sat down at the desk and read through the journal further, finding drawings and sketches of symbols and magic circles, each with their own different meanings and effects. It was all fascinating. There was even a page of important spells to know. I read through them, trying to memorize them into my mind. I don't know what came over me, but I started to feel more energetic and more powerful simply reading my grandfather's notes. I was suddenly aware of the energy that surrounded my body and the power that was around the house. The more I read, the more powerful I became. However, my mind suddenly froze, and I found myself walking back to the drawer, putting the book back, and closing the drawer. The lock reset, and I snapped out of it. Huh? What? I shook my head and looked at the drawer, realizing what I had done. I walked over to the desk to reopen the lock, but suddenly felt the need to stop. Something held me back and didn't want me to pry any more than I already had. I was curious beyond belief, but I obeyed my thoughts for now. Eventually I would come back and look into it. See, I got an achievement called Curiosity is in the Family. I think you get those spells. So I'm gonna go ahead and be happy with that. I returned to bed, feeling the weight, yada yada yada. That's what I had a second ago. Why is time going so slowly? Okay, however, the muffled sounds of battle caught my attention. Huh? I quickly went out to the backyard in response to the noise I had heard. In the yard were all 5 of the boys, practicing fighting. Sam was in the middle with the other 4 surrounding him and throwing punches and kicks at him. Sam, being the strongest of the bunch, blocked and dodged each almost masterfully. I kinda don't want to bug them, but I want to see what happens if you go, "Hey!" All at once the boys looked at me, frozen in their movements. I just stood at the doorway, staring at them after my outburst. James was the first to break away from the group, stepping toward me.
Good morning. We apologize if we woke you up.
No, it's fine. I've been awake for a while now. I'm sorry I interrupted.
It's quite all right. We needed to stop anyway. We don't want to overwork Sam.
Oh, come on, I can handle more than those pity punches.
Your mind seems grateful that we've stopped.
Shut up, Damien.
Oh crap, we should probably make some lunch. I'm sure you're starving.
I can handle lunch if you like. You all seem to be pretty busy training to beat Malix. I'll take care of it today.
Whoa, seriously?
Yeah, why not? I'm not useless. I know how to cook and do other stuff too.
Well, no, I wasn't insinuating.
What he means to say is that we'd be really grateful if you could make lunch today.
Haha, no problem. As I turned to the kitchen, the boys went back to training. They seemed very determined to get better and to become stronger. Might as well make lunch today. It's been a while since I cooked. Lunch wasn't particularly hard. I decided to make I made this last time, so I think it'd be funny to make sandwiches. 'Cause why not? I don't think it matters. I assembled simple ham sandwiches for all of us. After I poured some potato chips onto the side of each sandwich, I felt satisfied. Who said lunch had to be cooked? I placed the food in the dining room, however none of the boys were there by the time I brought the final dish out. I carried that dish to the main lobby, catching the boys separating into different rooms of the house. Part of me wanted to go to one in particular. The other part of me wanted to just leave them be and take the phone in my hand in my room and eat. Maybe I could go out today while the boys focus on training. Nope. I quickly rushed back and grabbed a second food dish before hunting down one of the boys. Hold on. I want to make sure I get Erik. There he is. I returned to the backyard, hoping to find an incubus still there. Luckily, my gut feeling was right. Erik was beside the gazebo, looking at a small flower that was growing on the railing of it. As I approached, Erik turned his head and smiled his usual smile.
Hello, Princess.
Hey, Erik, I got some lunch for you.
Really? You did not have to do that, Princess.
No, it's fine. Here. Erik smiled and took his food, eating a little bit before looking to the flower again. Out of curiosity, I looked as well. It was a simple white daisy in full bloom. Erik shook his head and chuckled softly as I joined him in flower gazing.
Sorry, I was simply reminded of home.
Huh? Oh no, you're fine. What about home were you reminded of? Erik looked to the sky with a soft sigh and smiled before looking to the flower again.
The castle, mainly. Despite us not being there anymore, it was still our home. We grew up there our entire lives as brothers. There wasn't a day that went by when we weren't all doing something exciting. It was an empty excitement, of course, but it was still something that bonded us all together.
Erik slightly trailed off, looking lost in the nostalgia of his thoughts. I didn't know if I wanted to bother him while he remembered something so obviously important to him. This sounds like another choice. Please tell me more. Yay, good. Erik turned again to me with a slightly surprised look.
You wish to know more?
Yep. Why not? I'm really curious about the place you lived in. Erik nodded before looking to the flower again. After a second, he gained a look to realization before looking to me again.
Would you like me to show you something instead?
Sure. I tilted my head in confusion, but nodded nonetheless. What I was expecting could not have prepared me for what I saw. Erik gently brushed his fingers against the petals of the daisy, making it gently quake at his touch. As the daisy abnormally shivered, its petals shifted from white to purple. The yellow center gently faded to a pink hue as the stem began to burn black. I could only stare as Erik plucked the flower from its place and presented it to me.
Watch closely.
I kept my eyes to the flower as Erik began to mutter something. It sounded close to Latin, but I wasn't sure. Regardless, the flower began to glow in Erik's hand. Small, crystal-like spores floated up from the pink center and began to form a circle in the air. As the circle closed, the center filled with smoke, forming a screen of some sort. It was misty, so I couldn't see anything. What is this?
Just watch.
I raised an eyebrow, but I followed his instruction. Eventually, the mist faded away, revealing a large throne room. It was all of stone and tile, with the throne itself covered in red fabric and gold metal. Despite it being a mirror image in a magic mirror, I felt small looking at the side of the throne room. Wow, that looks amazing.
That's our castle. It's a wonderful place. Servants and parties galore.
Does your father sit on the throne when he's at the parties?
Very much so. He despises dancing and socializing, so he makes the throne his home.
Do you think he's still there now? I must have struck a small chord with Erik because he hesitated before responded. Erik smiled only slightly.
We don't know. When we left, we didn't look back. However, we are sure he's still there, since no one followed us out of the abyssal plains.
I bit my lip. Maybe I shouldn't have asked. I felt really bad, however I didn't feel it for long. The magic suddenly stopped and faded away while Erik dropped the daisy. As the daisy turned back to its white and yellow color, Erik dropped to a knee, groaning in pain. Erik, are you alright?
Yes, Princess. I'm fine. I just used too much energy, that's all.
I dropped to a knee to try and examine Erik closer. His face was pale while his purplish eyes shifted back and forth between purple and gold. His breath was heavy, which concerned me. He used too much energy? That meant he needed more.
Please don't worry, Princess. I'm fine. Don't worry your beautiful head about it.
I'm gonna kiss you, bro. I'm gonna kiss you. I felt responsible. I had to help. I quickly grabbed Eric's— well, don't get too overzealous about it, dang! And tilted his head to angle with mine. Shifting myself closer, I brought my lips to his and kissed him deeply. I didn't know if this would help, but it was how he got energy before. I shut my eyes, waiting for the draining feeling to reappear in my body. However, Erik grabbed my shoulders and forced me back. I opened my eyes and stared into his frightened golden eyes in surprise. At the same time, I noticed a pink hue run across Eric's face.
Princess? What are you doing?
I don't know why, but I felt both irritated and accomplished at the question and the look he was giving me. Where was his flirting? Where was his cocky smirk? From what I remembered, he took advantage of me when we met, yet now he was somewhere acting inferior to me. I grabbed his hands and removed them from my shoulders, tangling my fingers with his. I'm trying to help and give you some of my energy. You used your energy to show me that sight, so I want to pay you back for that. Unless you don't want me to help.
Well, I've already taken your energy once before.
That was before. I want to give you energy now. Just let me. All of a sudden, I felt that familiar feeling of warmth run through my body once again. I felt my body slightly heat up as Erik quickly released my hands and wrapped them around my waist, dropping to both knees in front of me. He stared at me with desire in his gaze as he pulled my body to his. Erik leaned his forehead to mine, letting the tips of our noses gently caress each other as he spoke.
You spoiled me.
That's not the pose I was expecting. Before I knew it, now they're moving. I was on top of Erik. What? Oh, I stared wide-eyed as he pulled me into a hot and passionate kiss with a gentle hand on the back of my head. Eric's other hand rested on the small of my back while I rested my hands on his chest. So the opposite of what we're seeing here. I moved myself to straddle his hips to be comfortable in the kiss. The energy from my body was slowly draining, making me feel light and warm. It was almost pitiful how comfortable and how willing I was in this situation. Still, I held no regrets. I was enjoying every bit of this kiss. While Erik held me, he gently rolled us both over so he was on top of me, kissing me hotly and holding me tightly. I was tempted to wrap my legs around him, but I remained focused on the kiss. It was better that I was on the bottom anyway, with my energy slowly fading from my body. However, the draining feeling suddenly stopped as Erik pulled away and looked down at me. I stared up at him as we both panted for air. I had never kissed like that before, and I was so lost in the moment that I had forgotten how to breathe. Erik, however, didn't move from me, but moved a strand of hair from my face, eyes still full of desire.
I'm completely full, and yet I still desire you.
It's kind of a creepy comment. I could feel the hold of his mind-altering spell fade away, but I still felt hot. Something told me that I wanted more, but at the same time I wasn't sure if I truly did want to give any more. I think last time I was like, no, that's enough with Sam. Let's see where this goes. I missed that color. I opened the opportunity and I was enjoying it as much as he was. I wanted more and I was going to let him keep going. I wanted to keep going. I reached up, pulled him down, and kissed him, giving him silent approval to keep going. I could feel him pull on the tail of my bow, releasing it and following his hand off from around my neck. Oh, I get it. He moved the ribbon to the ground beside me before gently unbuttoning the top buttons of my blouse, stopping at the buttons above my stomach. We're just gonna do it out here, huh? The desire in my body drove me insane, forcing a moan to escape my lips as he ran kisses from my lips to my exposed neck. As he began to ravish my neck and shoulders in hot kisses, I leaned my head back against the grass and let a pleasureful, not sure if that's a word, sigh escape my lips. Erik was ruthless in his passionate kisses on my skin. Erik didn't stop touching and kissing me, making more moans and gasps rush out of my mouth into the open air. He was full, but he was as hot as I was. I couldn't even comprehend how much time we spent making out. I was so lost in the pleasure that I didn't care. Call it sinful, but I didn't care. I loved it, his touch, his kiss, his heat. I desired it beyond anything above anything at that moment, even as he lowered his kisses down to my chest just above my bra. My heart was beating wildly in my chest. Something about Erik intrigued me immensely, but something made my heart quicken for him. It couldn't have been love, but it was too passionate to be lust. What was it? However, I began to feel dizzy, seeing the sky start to spin almost wildly. I gripped onto Erik's shoulders, trying to signal him to stop, but my mind faded to black before I could let out another sound. I felt good. I didn't care that I was blacked out. I felt warm and fuzzy in the darkness. I never knew indulging in that kind of passion would be that good. I now just waited to awaken, hopefully in a good way. My eyes eventually fluttered open, adjusting to the side around me. I felt familiar silks underneath me, letting me know that I was in my bed. I slowly sat up, stretching from the tiredness that still lingered. I felt a very soft pain on my neck and shoulders, and I could feel my swollen lips pulse gently in healing. However, when I looked down at my body, I saw that my shirt had been pulled back up and rebuttoned as if nothing happened between me and Erik. I was just missing my ribbon. Before I turned to get out of bed, though, I spotted my ribbon on the pillow beside the one I slept on. It was tied a nice bow around the daisy Erik had picked, with a small note attached to it. I gently slipped the note from the tie and opened it to read it.
You've spoiled me, my princess. I am eternally grateful that you let me indulge like that. Have a good rest.
Everything he says is just slightly creepy. I stared at the note, letting a small smile grace my lips. Spoiled him? I enjoyed it, despite the first time's circumstance. It was cute, though, to imagine him thanking me for something we both did and enjoyed. I brought the daisy to my nose and gently inhaled its soft fragrance, letting the memories of our meeting flood my mind. I indulged myself too, Erik. I looked to the time out of curiosity. The large white numbers on my phone showed 5:31 p.m. Yikes! 4 hours of being knocked out and I still feel tired. It was Sunday, so I was allowed to sleep longer if I wanted to. This sounds like a choice. Haha, the CG on that save. The remainder of the night passed by, surprisingly uneventful. The boys continued to train with each other, but were kind enough to stop and make me dinner. I was glad for that. Unsurprisingly, the food was perfect, but it felt a little empty without the boys to eat with me. They most likely had already eaten, but still, I felt lonely. I couldn't let it bother me. I ate and went back to my room to study and sleep. Surprisingly, I felt good going to bed that night. I felt like I could have a peaceful sleep after the previous rough nights I had. I felt good. I'm gonna make this a long video. I drifted to sleep and woke up flawlessly the next morning. No grogginess, no aches, perfectly energized and bright-eyed. Man, how long has it been since I got that much good sleep? I looked to my alarm clock. I woke up 10 minutes before my alarm. Well, hey, I must be lucky today. Don't say that. Karma owed me some luck. After all I had gone through in merely a handful of days, I deserved to get some good luck. Ecstatic for the day ahead, I turned off my alarms before they could ring and got dressed. However, my phone quickly started to quickly buzz from an incoming text. Huh? Who's texting me this early?
Yo, Anderson! You're carpooling with us from now on. We're not letting you waste your money on a bus. Get ready and be at your gate at 7 stat.
I smiled. My friends were the best. I couldn't drive yet, and I didn't have a car, so it was awesome that my friends would let me carpool. I checked the time. 6:30. Perfect. I can eat some breakfast before they come. I packed my bag and carried it downstairs toward the kitchen. As I entered the dining room, I saw a plate with eggs, toast, and bacon sitting on the table. A fresh steaming cup of coffee sat next to the plate with sugar and creamer on the side. I walked to the table and couldn't believe what I was seeing. Who made this? As I spoke aloud, a small red note caught my attention. Have a good day, yours. My heart skipped a beat as I finished. I could tell it was from one of the boys. Maybe it was from him? I smiled before putting the note in my bag and eating up. The food was so delicious, I devoured every amazing bite. I looked to the time again. Time to go. I quickly rushed to the doors, checking myself in the passing mirror. I wasn't wanting to impress anyone, but I still needed to look decent. Before I could reach the handle of the door, however, someone took my hand. Huh? I turned to see Erik, who was holding my hand back with a concerned frown on his face.
My name.
Your name?
My true name isn't Erik, miss. I want you to know my real name, if something were to happen.
His true name? What did he mean? Why was he telling me now? I remembered reading about a demon's name from the journal I read yesterday. If you knew a demon's true name, you could summon them to you, no matter where you were or where they were. Erik gently pulled me to him and leaned close to whisper in my ear.
My name is Uzairus.
I'm not going to try and pronounce that. As he said his name, I could feel it lock into my memory. Something in my head would make sure I would never forget it. Erik pulled away and smiled at me, despite still carrying worry in his eyes.
If you are in any danger, call my name. I promise that I'll come and help you.
I stared up at Erik, unable to say anything. I could only nod in response. Erik smiled before kissing my hand and heading into the dining room. Something told me that name would be used eventually. And right on cue, Naomi drove up to the gates with Suzu waving me down. I rushed out the door and we headed to school, talking about the homework in the coming day. We made it into the school without a hitch. Our lockers were in the same part of the hall, so we quickly unloaded what we needed to and got our important books and necessities. First incident of the day. As I walked towards Suzu and Naomi, who were both waiting for me on the opposite side of the hall, something hooked my ankle and made me fall forward. What? Ow!
Hey, are you okay?
Who did that?
Three of us looked back to see Lizette and her gaggle of girls. Lizette had a look of complete innocence, while the girls around her giggled like no tomorrow.
Why, you little...
Suzu, don't!
I felt a giant fire of anger burn in my stomach as I stared at Lizette. Today was not the only time this had happened to me. However, it was now clear who was behind these incidents. Even if she was innocent and one of her goons did it, it was now obvious that Lizette was the mastermind just from the look on her face. She was no friend, nor would she ever be. I had to do something. I mean... I kind of want to glare into her soul. What was that? What was that? Hold on. Wait. I want to see it. I want to see what the different ones do. That's blue. I don't know what those are. Red. What was this one? Red. Who are those? Are those Naomi and Suzu? Actually, I'm gonna do this one. Who's that blue one? I'm gonna have to look into that. No. I wasn't going to bring myself to her level. She was a bully, but I was not going to let her get to me. I had to be stronger than her, and only then would I have beaten her. I stood up and brushed myself off, pretending nothing had happened.
Anderson, you okay? That was a pretty bad fall.
Yeah, I'm fine. A fall like that is nothing. I merely smiled at them, not wanting to let them know the pain of rushing through my body from that fall. My arms were quaking, my shoulders were pulsing, but I remained content-faced. I quickly gathered up my belongings and nodded to my two friends. Come on, we'll be late for history. Suzu and Naomi looked at each other before frowning and nodding to me. Naomi and Suzu flanked me as we began to walk to class away from the gaggle of bullies. As we walked, I could barely see Suzu flipping the middle finger to the group behind us from the corner of my eye.
Friggin' bunch of Lisette feet lickers.
That's gross, Suzu.
It's true. It's all OMG! Lisette is the best! Let's follow her around because we obviously don't have lives.
Naomi and I could not help but laugh. The group behind us, however, did not like Suzu's words.
At least my dad doesn't screw around in the black market to keep a stupid casino running.
Suzu stopped. Naomi and I stopped as well to look back at Suzu, who was completely red in anger. Suzu slowly turned ahead to the group, glaring daggers at them.
Fuck did you just say?
I had to act fast. I placed my hand on Suzu's shoulder and gripped tightly, knowing she could try to push my hand away. Suzu, they're not worth it. Let's just go.
No, I think it's about time we taught them some manners.
Suzu!
I looked at Lisette and her group. Lisette had a widely amused smile on her face, which irked me to no end. Nevertheless, I knew that fighting wasn't going to get us anywhere. Let's go. I grabbed Suzu by the shoulders roughly, pulling her back to Naomi and me. Suzu tried to step toward the group, but Naomi held on to her other shoulder. We held on to Suzu, who fought against our hands as we marched to class. Surprisingly, the rest of the school day went off without another incident. I went to my classes, had lunch, and was anxious to get home. As the bell rang for school to end, I felt my phone vibrate in my pocket. Huh? A text? From Dad? I'll be picking you up today. Make sure you're ready to go when I get there. That's kind of a surprise. I quickly headed back to my locker and got my things before waiting for Naomi and Suzu.
Hey, are you ready to go?
Actually, my dad's picking me up.
Really? Okay, I guess that kind of makes sense.
We'll drive home together next time. Tell your dad that we got you covered from now on.
Yeah, alright. Even when I laughed, something didn't seem right. My dad texted me to say this. Why was he going to pick me up? Had I done something wrong? I didn't know. I waved goodbye to Naomi and Suzu before heading off to the usual spot where my dad picks me up. I took the time to listen to my music while I waited. I need to go to another Rise of the Phoenix concert. Eventually, I'd play the entire album with no one showing up. What the hey? Dad's never late, especially not this late. I quickly dialed my dad's number again, but as soon as I pressed call, it disconnected and read a signal disconnection error message. What the? No signal error? How do I not have signal? I double-checked my phone and saw 5 bars for signal. He must be in a dead zone. For Before I could finish, a group of hands grabbed at my hands, feet, and covered my mouth. I screamed into the hand over my mouth, struggling to pull away from the hands grabbing at my limbs. It felt disgusting and scary, feeling their hands on me. I needed it to stop.
Hey! Don't dirty up Malix's prey!
The voice, which sent a fearful shiver down my spine, whispered into my ear.
You're coming with me, Miss Anderson.
I couldn't fathom what was happening, but before I knew it, I was blindfolded and my limbs were quickly tied up. I felt myself being carried somewhere and was shoved into something that echoed the interior of a bus or van. The doors closed off and I was taken, unsure of where I was going and why. All I knew was that I was in trouble. And that is where I'm finally going to save. I'm going to save twice. So, that's it for now. I am going to go back to the main menu again. I will come back to this nice and quick, just like usual. So until then, goodbye for now.